Hi, I'm Anne Fraser. Welcome to another edition of Bringing Hope to Alzheimer's. And today we have a special treat for you. I am sitting here with Jamie Schneider-Smith, and you are one of the owners of Qualicare, did I say that right?
Mm-hmm.
Qualicare Kansas City Home Care.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wonderful. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're one of the owners. Tell me a little bit about your organization and what you do.
So our inception, I guess, was it came about in 2021. We've always been, our sisters and I, we've always been like that point of contact for the family. Jamie, what do we do with this? Or how do we do this? Even dosing medications, which we're not supposed to do. But our dad kind of brought it to our attention. It's what we were doing anyway. Early on in 2017, my late husband was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. No underlying conditions, but the world kind of got really large for our family, where to go, what to do. And that's also how Qualicare itself was incepted, was brought about, was because a family was kind of going through that. So in seeing the breakdown of the Medicare, Medicaid, what do you do, where do you go world of health, we just realized that not everybody has a big family. Mm-hmm. Not everybody can come together. And so that's kind of what we want to do, is be an extension of somebody's already functional family that's maybe starting to lose function. And then we kind of come in there as, what did one of our Qualicare persons say, a rent-a-daughter or a rent-a-grandchild or something like that, to where we don't want to move or do different things that they're already doing. Mm-hmm. We want them to feel like, oh, hey, they're coming today, great, and we hang out, grocery shop, all those types of things, as well as the medical side of things, going to doctor's appointments, being that voice for the person that gets that white coat syndrome and saying, hey, you said your belly was hurting. Let's talk to the doctor about that, because they shut down sometimes. They won't voice it, or they're scared that they're not going to get the treatment because they had a voice. And my voice can be pretty loud. And so that's when it comes medically, you stand up for yourself. And so some people need that voice. And I think that's what we want to bring to the families that don't know kind of where to go.
Got it.
So
okay. So for people who are listening to the podcast and maybe don't know Kansas City very well, Kansas City is half in Kansas and half in Missouri. So I think one thing for our listeners who are local, I think it's important to let them know that your company, you guys are on the Missouri side only.
Yes.
Correct?
Mm-hmm.
And so what are the rules that you fall under then for Missouri? Like you say, you can't give medication. Tell us what you can and cannot do.
So there's a gray area there. When it comes to medication, we can't set meds or push meds. So that means if it's in a syringe, we're not supposed to push.
Right.
We can't draw it.
Right.
We can't fill the pill boxes.
But it's filled.
Right.
You can take out that day's medicine.
Yes.
Gotcha.
If we know somebody's medication schedule, we can hand it to them. We can put it in their hand. We can help their hand get to their mouth. We can help get them a glass of water. We literally can do everything in that way.
Right.
And then things like wounds, deeper wounds, dressing wounds, we're not supposed to dress because that's a nursing skill. We aren't, they would say we're not trained to do it, but yet their husband or their daughter or somebody else in the household can do it. So that's why it gets gray, because we can't do what daughter can do, which is fill the pain med bottles, or fill the med box, but we can do. So we're not as limited other than the actual nursing things. But we can go to doctor's appointments with them, pick up their meds from the pharmacy, discuss a med with the doctor, because at that point we're just advocating and giving them the voice. And a lot of people with long-term illnesses, they don't have the time to go to the doctor's appointment and go to work and pay for home care. Somewhere there's going to be a breakdown.
Right.
So we just try to fill that gap.
Okay. So I know you take care of probably all different ages and all different situations. Bringing Hope to Alzheimer's is with Night of Hope, the charity that I'm the founder of. We're about brain health. So let's talk about like cognitive decline, Alzheimer's. What percentage would you say of the people that you guys do care for would you say have some form of dementia?
I would say for that older age, there's always some level of dementia, cognitive impairment, or short-term memory that and what I have learned even more so is dementia, Alzheimer's, all that takes a back seat to things like cancer. But really the disease is just as debilitating, just as hard for a family to go through. And I never even knew that. There's levels of dementia where people's eyesight is okay, but they can't see because their brain has stopped talking to their eyes. Mm-hmm. And so we try to help those families. I feel like sometimes we're counselors. We help those families go, okay, don't argue. Let's redirect. So we're trying to teach and coach how a family can get through this with as much dignity for the person that's going through it and as less heartache for the person who has to live, taking care of that person. So it's probably a good vast majority. I mean, I'd say probably 95%. There's some level that we're trying to. They don't like who has left them. Mm-hmm. A smart, educated woman is no longer acting that way. And that's not mom. Mm-hmm. And so getting people past, giving them the resources that, even if it's not us saying it, if it's a hospice case, how to deal with that person, giving them a resource, an audio thing to listen to, something that's third party, unbiased, so that there's less argument and less frustration and more love to get that person to where they need to go.
Right. So let's take it, let's say somebody is listening right now to this podcast and they are in their family, they have a family member. It could be a spouse, it could be a grandparent, a parent, it could be a sibling, an aunt and uncle. But somewhere in their family, they have someone that's going through some form of dementia. And I always say it's a family disease because the whole family usually has to pitch in really for any disease. And Alzheimer's is no different. And so they're listening to this right now, and they do live on the misery side, and they're like, oh my gosh, if we could just have a little bit of help. Tell our audience, do you guys just do an hour, a couple hours, half day, overnight, weekends? Tell our audience a little bit about what hours you guys are able to help families.
Well, I think the first thing with that is that start sooner than later. Don't wait for that fight or flight crisis mode because it's harder for any agency to get the right person for you. Our minimum is 3 hours. A lot of agencies are more. We don't have a weekly minimum. And then we also kind of have what we call a care 360 care. We try to look at a family as a 360-degree view. Where's the gaps and where can we help? So some of that could be remote care. Could be helping to call the doctors and remake that appointment and schedule it. Wait for the doctor to call back and we can bill on 15-minute increments because we're operating remotely. So there's a couple of different ways that a family can even start the 360 care before they physically need a person. But the biggest thing is not to wait for crisis.
And don't you find that most people, most families wait until way too long? I mean, even I see it time and time again where the family has a loved one that they're allowing to stay at home by themselves. And they drop in once a day or maybe every other day or maybe twice a day. I see so many times people waiting. That person should not be alone all day. They're waiting way too long to ask for any help at all. Yeah.
The biggest thing we see, especially with cognitive, is the lack of eating. Because they're either tired physically, it's dangerous for them to cook, and they're even maybe in the earlier stages, they're scared. So then they stop eating, and then we see a decline in weight. When you see a decline in weight, you're going to see a decline in health, and then it becomes a snowball effect.
Right.
So, waiting too long definitely can cause more problems. Then you've got to undo the health problems that started because of the waiting.
Right.
So,
well, they don't, like my parents, I can only speak to what I know, but my parents would forget to eat. They didn't realize. They'd be like, oh, I already ate. Or I'm not hungry right now. And so, but if I would put food in front of them, they would eat.
We had a client like that. We didn't even ask her if she wanted food. We'd make food for the husband. We take care of a lot of couples and things like that. And we'd put food in front of her, and the next thing she'd know, she'd start eating. And then you'd put her meds in front of her, and she'd pick them up instinctively. So there's a lot of muscle memory that the human body has that we call it, you just got to cue them up. So you may not be able to get them in the shower, and they're going to forget to wash their hair, then you just cue them up with a bottle of shampoo, and muscle memory reminds them, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do next. Oh,
right.
And now it's to wash my body.
Right.
I think the other misconception that I didn't even realize was that big was home care versus home health versus hospice. Home health and hospice are covered by insurance, and Medicaid. There's different programs and things like that. Home care is private. A lot of people think that they have to wait until they're at that level of need with home care, that they have to get doctor's orders, and they do not. This is a decision that a family can pick up the phone anytime they want to and decide to take action. Loneliness is another bigger one that is a decline. So your lack of eating and your depression of loneliness because somebody isn't getting that general interaction. Going to the grocery store. I mean, we've had some grocery trips that are crazy with cognitive people because they also lose their filter. I think all older people. So we've had some grocery crashes, but they got to have fun that day. I think our biggest thing is laughing and having fun, even if we have an accident and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. Oh, everybody does it. And we laugh, we joke, we try to get them past the bad part of what it felt like and bring that laughter back to them, because laughter is medicine too. So,
and I think it's difficult sometimes to find, as I know for me, taking care of my parents, I wanted to make sure they were taken care of really well the way I cared for them. And I love that you seem, just sitting here talking with you, you seem very genuine, and that you do really care for the family's loved ones. And I think that's one of the biggest things that everybody sometimes puts off calling, because they're not sure who this stranger is going to be. And so would you say it's a matter of just picking up the phone and calling? And even, do you guys do like a free...
we do a free consultation.
Okay.
We want to see what a day in the life looks like. Show us around the house. When does mom or dad eat? Where do they shower? Where do they go to the bathroom? What do you make the bed every day? Where's her favorite seat? What's her favorite foods? We only will hire people that we would be comfortable putting with our own family. And we try to coach constantly how to answer questions, how to redirect, how to do this when it comes to our staff, so that they're as educated as possible before they walk in that door, to where the family feels like, oh, they already kind of know my mom. That's what we want the family to feel like. And it is hard. We are not about just putting heads in beds and bodies at a house. We're a matchmaking service. We try to think, this person needs a quiet, doesn't really want to be talked to a whole lot, leave me alone and just do what you need to do in the house. So we would coach our person. And if somebody's really bubbly and wants to be active, then maybe that's not the right kind of person for that person. And sometimes maybe it is, and it pulls them out of their shell. You just don't know. So we do try to match personality. We think logistically, where does our care person live compared to where does the client live? We don't want our staff driving 45 minutes to an hour to a client for a 3-hour shift, because they're going to burn out and they're going to quit. And then that client just got used to someone, and then now they're going to quit. Not that it never happens, but we try to staff for consistency.
This episode is brought to you by Thrive Once More. And I'm going to tell you a personal story, because Thrive Once More, I was looking for a new functional medicine, integrative medicine doctor, and I found Dr. Anne Morgan. She was a ER doctor for 22 years and got tired of seeing people come in so sick and just being able to treat the symptom that was happening at the moment and not really the inside of the body. So she started her own practice called Thrive Once More, where she helps men and women figure out what medical issues are going on in the body and how to get to the root cause, so you can actually heal and not just take a pill or do something that's going to just treat the symptom and not the problem. So Thrive Once More, Dr. Anne Morgan, she's my personal doctor. If you want to make an appointment for just a quick consultation, you can go to thriveoncemore.com. And we want to thank her for being a supporter of this podcast. Especially with cognitive issues, keeping things the same is really important.
Yes.
So you guys there's a lot of different things with technology. that are coming out to help families. And so you guys have like a fall detection technology. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so technically, connected home living is how the fall detection is powered, I guess you could say. And then they have a care center that oversees it. So elopement and wandering and then the real fall. So it's AI, artificial intelligence, which we don't really get into with the family because it's freaky, but it can detect a real fall in under a minute. And so it's just a sensor that's on the wall that is there and beeps. The family sets up, I guess you could say, your old school phone tree. So the first person to be called, like for your parents, would be you. But that fall, the system is like a pixelation of a body. So there's no cameras. There's no button for them to pull, drag themselves to. The phone tree is going to kick in a red alert at about a minute and start calling all the way to 911. The phone tree can be as customized and long. Call the neighbor next if you can't get a hold of Anne. Do this, do that, and then eventually paramedics, and they're going to get in that door. So it alleviates them having to worry. A lot of times, and we've had a client pass that are wearing the neck things, and they don't push it. Or as they're falling and they're having a heart situation, if they've already fallen to the ground, they're not going to be able to find wherever it's tangled. So we wanted to create something that took the physical ability out of it, or not create. We didn't create. They created it. The gentleman, the CEO of Connected Home Living, has owned an assisted living community for over 20 years. And he has gone through multitude of products. And so the fall detection does that, as well as monitoring bathrooms, for example. Mom's getting up and going to the bathroom quite a bit. So if we start seeing more activity, that's a wellness situation. That's a sign of a UTI. So then it becomes medical. Why is mom getting up so much? And then, of course, you don't want them wandering out the door. We can set alarms to where if the door is open 5 minutes or even instantly, because that door is never opened, then that can be an instant alert where the phone goes, the phone call, and it's real people, not just some large, and they do remote care, weekly check-ins, how you doing, we had any falls, because a lot of times they won't report to the family that they've fallen. I think,
well, especially if they have cognitive issues, because they lots of times don't remember that they've fallen.
Yep, we are kind of that middle person tattletale where they'll tell us certain things that they won't tell the family. They'll tell us things about the family that's bothering them, and we know it's a simple fix. We just talk to the family, hey, this is what mom's saying behind your back, and we can kind of help fix that so that everybody can kind of move forward. But that was kind of circling off, but
right. Yeah, no, that's good.
That wandering, having an idea of what's going on in mom and dad's house when it comes to the monitoring without intruding on with cameras.
Yeah, that's great. If someone is interested in learning more about resources that you guys provide, how can they find you? Where do they go to find out all the things about you?
So I think our website that the resources website that we just did is qualicarekc.com. I think just like anybody in this community, or everybody should, Pat's Law is who I learned about you. So if we have families that don't have those POA documents, we want to have vetted resources, people that we trust to handle our clients, not just a name out of the phone book. So AskSammy.com is another thing, free shipping with Qualicare KC, where instead of going to Amazon for a walker, a wheelchair, or toilet accessories, or cognitive memory tools, silverware, when their brain starts learning how to feed themselves, there's silverware things that you can put on that helps them hold the fork. So those have been vetted by an occupational therapist in our area and have been used in the field. So it narrows that field down. So the website is what we are constantly adding and talking to. We want to know our assisted living communities. We want to know our independent living communities. We are the first to speak up when we recognize that unless they want to pay 24/7 home care and it's not covered by insurance, which we can do, but we recognize that that's very expensive, and we're not there to gouge their pocket. We're just there to make sure that they're going. When it's time, it's memory. This is getting too dangerous. This is not safe for you. You're going to go down. taking care, and we are the first to, start guiding a family and
Awesome.
where to go for that. So
Okay. No, I love all of that. So you came to our 4th annual gala just this last June.
I did. It was a lot of fun. You guys did good setting that up.
Thank you.
That was great.
Tell us a little bit about why you wanted to come and what was your experience.
Well, the experience was fun. It was also eye-opening. Your story resonated a lot, knowing that there's situations where a lot of this short-term memory and Alzheimer's is being detected so early. So I think that's great that we can start to do things. And really, it was just about being in the community. I think initially, for me, it was a lot of the cancer community when I first came in, because that's the first story that hit me. And then I'm realizing, wait, there's just so much more. There's so many facets to Alzheimer's, dementia, whatever you want to call it and however it's diagnosed. So I wanted to just kind of learn a little bit more about that. I mean, because that is what I say we do. Mm-hmm. We are the first persons to put boots on the ground. Last week I was scrubbing a toilet. This week I'm wearing heels. Mm-hmm. Well, today. Tomorrow I could be scrubbing. I mean, I will never ask a staff member or ask somebody to do something that I'm not willing to do. So I want to see. I want to see things like, the Alzheimer's areas and learn more about that, because us getting more educated helps more families.
Right.
And so I'm a big proponent, we all are, of the more we know, the more we can help. Mm-hmm. So free knowledge.
Right. Exactly. Is there anything else that we didn't cover today that you wanted to make sure that we talked about?
I don't think so. Okay. I think you've covered it pretty well.
Good.
Or allowed me to cover it pretty well, I should say.
There you go. Well, I appreciate you being here today. Thank you so much. And I do want to encourage our local audience, if you all have a friend or a loved one that has needs, that you might need somebody to come alongside you on the Missouri side and that can come in and just take some of those things off your plate, I really suggest that you look into this awesome company. And again, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right. We'll see you guys next time on Bringing Hope to Alzheimer's.